every little bit of this recording in progress. I understand this is a very long recap, and that every little bit is useful for you. You may not care about certain things, and that's okay. But sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage of choice, depending on what time of day it is at your place, and let's get started. I'm gonna go through a big old, very professionally made. Thank you, Wojtek. Slide deck, and I'm gonna show some demos. I'm gonna hopefully answer some questions. So since you cannot send messages to the chat, there's a Q&A feature on Zoom, and you can go ahead and drop those questions in, and I would love to have them answered. If that doesn't work for you, I think you can send messages to the hosts themselves. So I'm not sure if I'm part of the host or a co-host, but
You
if
are
that
a co-host, so
okay,
yep.
you can send a message directly to me if you want. I do not mind. Okay. Um, Screen is being shared, right? Is that correct? No,
You
it's not.
are good to go, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I'm okay. Good. I wasn't sure if you can all see my stream, right? Yes. Zoom. Okay. Okay. Welcome to the AWS reInvent 2024 recap. This is I want to say my fifth recap. Fifth year recap I'm doing. Basically, every time we do AWS reInvent, which is one of our biggest tech events happening every year in early December. What happens is us developer advocates, we go ahead and we go to community meetups, user groups, and all kinds of places to kind of give you a quick rundown what thing has launched, because reInvent is all about, well, the community and meeting other people, but a lot of the stuff that happens at reInvent is launches, new features, new services, new groundbreaking innovations coming from Amazon Web Services. And today I'm going to be kind of covering a bunch of them. We've digested, I think, all of them into 130 slides. Um, with a lot of them actually being some of the links to other places. I'm going to give you later on, so stick around. I'm going to give you close to the end of this event. I'm going to give you a link where you can find all of these details for yourself, so you can pick up the content and well, review it without me yelling at you. Okay, so first off, my name is Darko. I am what they call these days a developer advocate. I come from a long line of system administrators, so I used to maintain and manage and install and operate various Linux, Unix, Solaris, Windows systems. For the last 10 years, I've been working for AWS and went on from being a support engineer to a solutions architect. And now I get to talk to you, the wonderful people out there in camera land, and deliver potentially messages, talks, and discussions with you. So awesome. Let's move on. Couple of things, housekeeping. Um, there are a couple of things you will notice on this deck. They're pretty colorful, but like there's little legends. Like you will see that GA, PP, P, and CS mean something else. Like generally available, public preview, preview, preview usually in private preview, and coming soon. So if you see this thing at the top right hand corner of the slide deck, that's the current state of this presentation. Each slide will have a QR code. So if you want to go ahead and whip out your phone and look at the link of the blog post, you can absolutely do that there. So I will probably be dropping links, some of the links in the chat when it's time, but not all of them. You will see a lot of the QR codes there as well. There is something we're going to be splitting stuff into reinvent and pre-invent. So pre-reinvent or pre-invent is an unofficial name for services that are launched slightly before reinvent. Every year this happens. We're about to go into reinvent season, and all of a sudden, a wave of amazing content comes out. Amazing services, features, all of these things come before reinvent. So people have dubbed it pre-reinvent or pre-invent. So there's going to be a couple of pre-invent things I have to talk about because they are important. Um, okay, so I said this already, but what is reInvent? It is a learning conference more than anything else. It's basically where you go and to learn all about AWS technologies, services, open source stuff, and how to build things in the cloud. We use this opportunity to network, to communicate, to partner with other people, and we use this opportunity to showcase greatest launches, features, and breakthrough innovations that we can do. So happens every year. It's really cool. I think I've been to 5 already. It is, if you have never been to a reInvent, it is a sight to behold. It's 65,000 people in a hotel in Vegas. It is, if you're not used to it, it's a lot. So It is great. It's just fascinating. I think this year specifically 60,000 attendees. We had almost 500,000 people watching the keynotes online. 1,900 sessions, so there's 1,900 opportunities for you to go and like learn something. And we had 3,500 speakers. Now these are just like some of the updates and service launches and whatnot. All of these things happen before, slightly before, and at reInvent, and I have only one slide deck to show you most of that. So just so you know. Um, Speaking of keynotes, we had a couple of keynotes. Keynotes are kind of like the big ticket events of AWS reInvent. This is where senior vice presidents and folks from AWS, like Peter DeSantis and Matt Garman, and even we had Andy Jassy come back in, and we talked about various different services, right? Swami talked about AI, and Peter DeSantis talked about compute and all of those kinds of things. And then we had I forgot their name. Her name is Ruba Borno. Yes, talked about AWS partners, because partners are kind of a huge thing when it comes to AWS, and of course everybody's favorite keynote. And if you say it's not your favorite keynote, you're probably not being honest with me. And it is Dr. Werner Vogels, right? Every year there's a whole thing about we're trying to guess what he's gonna wear for his shirt. So every year he wears like a band shirt, and I think internally at AWS we have a whole like a little poll going on, which shirt is Werner gonna wear. So this time it's Linkin Park. Basically, there's been a bunch of keynotes, and these keynotes are available right now for you to watch on the AWS YouTube channel. So you can easily find them there if you want to go and rewatch those. They're really well delivered, well presented, and if you want like I don't want to say a distillation of what all has been launched, but if you want the experience of how it looked like, go watch those. Okay, so what was announced this year, right? So next couple of slides are gonna contain the announcements and the links to those announcements just from reInvent. A lot, right? Again, this is all going to be available for you folks after this event. I'm gonna give you a link where you can access these things, right? So all of these things were launched, and that's a lot. And I said there may be a lot of stuff that you don't really care about, but we're gonna go through a couple of them. So let's get started. So ready? Yeah, good. Go. Let's go. Boom. First one. The AWS Management Console had a visual update. Now, this has happened pre-reInvent, as you can see in the top right corner. This is, I'm sure if you're an AWS Console user, you know that there has been some changes to it. So it looks kind of nice now, right? You see all of these like wonderful cost usage reports. It has this slight visual overhaul. Most importantly, curved edges, right? No more of those sharp corners on the edges of your screen. It's slightly more curved. It slightly looks better. So yeah, it is wonderful. It is nice. It looks good, right? I always welcome a nice little revamp when you look at it, like before, after, before, after. Look at those curved edges. Also, dark mode. Yes, this exists, and the changes to the dark mode are even better. Like, I wasn't a fan of this dark mode because it was just it needs to be darker. And look at that, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Nothing too crazy, but kind of one of those important things. Kathy is saying, please send questions to me directly. My apologies for having this lockdown, so that Zoom mobbers suck. They absolutely do. The Q&A, I mean, I see there's no open questions in the Q&A. I don't know if people can submit a question to the Q&A. I have the Q&A thing open in my Zoom thing, but
it's open now. Sorry about that,
okay.
guys.
Okay, there you go. Yes, all the questions can go into the Zoom Q&A, so feel free to drop them there. Or again, you can send the message directly to me on the chat. You cannot send them to the whole gang, but just to me, and I appreciate it. Yeah, and I see your messages. Thank you so much. Okay, enough about the visual stuff on the console. Party Rock. There's been a couple of interesting feature coming in from Party Rock. The biggest change here, it offers free daily usage. In the past, you had some sort of a usage pool that you can use up, and that's it. Now you have a specific amount of free daily use. Now, Party Rock, for those of you who do not know, it's a free service. It's kind of like completely separate from AWS. You don't need to have an AWS account, nothing. You logged in with like a social account, and it's an app. It's a place where you can create applications powered by generative AI using generative AI. It's kind of like a way where you can describe an application to a model, and it will generate this application with a bunch of different fields, and they can kind of interact with each other. Really exciting stuff. It's an excellent way to create like little applications that are really good to do some cool stuff. And as of recently, you can use documents. That means you can basically upload a document. It can kind of work with documents, which is kind of fantastic. I love it. So those two new little features, you can go and work with that right now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about storage, migration, and transfer services, right? So there's gonna be a couple of announcements here in relations to those. I think I talked about this one before when it launched. It was just before reInvent, and this was one of my favorite features. This is actually how I host my website. Amazon S3 static website hosting, right? You can host a website on Amazon S3. That's nothing new. That has existed from a long time ago. The change right now that happens is inside of your bucket, you can actually go ahead and click a button, and it will basically use that bucket through Amplify hosting as your website, right? The reason why would you do that is because it makes it so much simpler to add HTTPS, add a custom URL, add all of those things with literally 2 button clicks. So nothing revolutionary, but an incredible quality of life feature that helps you out. Mikhail is asking me, will slides be shared? Yes, absolutely. At the end of the end of the show, I will give you all a link where you can go and get all of these things. Or yeah, I see Kathy is typing the answer. I appreciate that. So Amazon S3 static website hosting is great. Actually, I want to see if I can show this to you relatively quickly. Maybe I can do this like so. Okay, yeah, and you can see the new console. Look at that. Woo, look at that. Beautiful. So if I go to a bucket here, and I need to see which bucket could it be. I don't even know if I have a website bucket. I have something here. Let's see. If I go to properties, static website hosting like that, you just click create amplify app, well, bam, takes you here. That's it. You give your app a name, save and deploy. You have a website available on the internet, of course, with static content, just like that. Excellent feature. Love it. It's just one of those wonderful quality of life things that we all need when it comes to building on the cloud. Okay, moving on. Time-based snapshot copy. Now, this is for my sysadmin folks. This is just a feature that allows you to basically enable time-based copy. What this thing does is it helps you check the minimum achievable completion duration for your EBS snapshot copies. EBS is the volume, it's the disks used on EC2 instances. If you need to copy these across accounts or across regions, it may be a problem. So if you need a 15-minute complete duration for your snapshot copy, you can either achieve it by setting this up, or it can even tell you, hey, listen, you cannot do that in that amount of time. This is for all of the folks who need specific compliance or business requirements to have a recovery point objectives. So neat little features, specifically when it comes to like compliance and regulation and governance. Nice. Okay. FSX for Lustre, it's basically a file system for Lustre, usually used in high performance computing. Now there's additional basically elastic fiber adapters and NVIDIA GPU direct storage. Basically, we're giving you higher throughput on your FSX for Lustre storages. So 12 times for internode connectivity stuff. So for folks out there using FSX for Lustre for your high performance computing, this is kind of a very important launch for you. 1200 gigabits a second. Data integrity protections in Amazon S3. So this is an S3 feature which is very important for folks out there who are wanting to make sure that integrity of their data is high. What happens when you upload an object to Amazon S3? So when you go ahead and run the SDK call or even use the web browser or whatever, you are uploading an object, and before the object is written to an array of storage systems in the back, it generates basically a hash, right? CRC32 or CRC64, whatever. One of these hashes are generated, and they're stored there as part of your object, right? The problem there is that between the object getting written to the system and your computer, there is the internet. So integrity protection is now basically the default behavior for calculating data integrity is built in the SDK, so it calculates objects hashes locally, so on your operating system, and then basically it combines those two at the end. So very important if you want to make sure that your uploaded objects on S3 bucket are absolutely integral. Like there has been no change between them and the actual blocks on storing those things. Storage browser. Okay, so I think I even have a demo for this. Let me have a look. So storage browser for Amazon S3. Oh, I don't have a demo. I was trying to build a demo for you last night on this one, but I just kind of struggled setting this one up in a relatively short amount of time. But this feature is excellent. So anybody using Amplify, which is it's hosting, number one, but it also offers you a framework to interact with AWS services, but it also offers you UI elements for your front-end application. So let's say you're writing a React application or a Vue application or a Next.js application, and you want to present a storage, present a list of files in an S3 bucket you have. You could do that with a bunch of API calls and just like nicely formatting it in your front-end application. Or now you can use this open source Amplify UI component, which basically enables you to plug in the contents of an S3 bucket as like a list, as like a basically a file directory on your front-end application. No Rust, I'm afraid. I know, I'm sorry. So yeah, but it is a really cool thing. It's literally a plug and play thing. It's just a storage browser element inside of your React application. If you have it set up in Amplify, it works really good. You can modify permissions, like you have specific users have specific read and write permissions. So a really excellent way to kind of give some file management capabilities to your front end applications, which I know I need a lot of times. Okay, moving on. All right. Speaking of front end and web applications showing S3 buckets, AWS Transfer Family has a web apps feature. This is kind of, I don't want to, it's the same thing as I talked about before because the other thing requires front end applications, React and whatnot. But what if you wanted to create a simple website where users can just drag and drop files or download files or whatnot, right? What if, what, how could you do that? It's the easiest way to do that. Well, you could set up a website on an S3 bucket and have it statically hosted, and then basically use just those things to be able to kind of give everybody access to your website and your files. This feature allows you to do a little bit better than that. So I'm going to go and show this to you right now. So back to this thing, and I'm going to go to Transfer Family. By the way, Transfer Family was my favorite service for a while because it offered SFTP. SFTP. Oh my God, remember SFTP? So a web app is basically, you can create a web application that's going to be a front end for your S3 bucket, right? So you create a web app. Basically, it's kind of a front end setup for an S3 bucket. You give it a name. I'm going to call it Hello Recap. You can add a logo. You can add a favicon. You can do some minor adjustments to your application, which is just sufficient, I guess. And that's it. Create web app. Boom. I'm not going to do that right now because I already have an app running. You click create a web app and you have a web app. So a web app is basically an endpoint like this, which I'm going to go to here. And it gives me the ability to log in. Because what it does, it actually uses IAM Identity Center for all of your users. So I added my user here, and this user has permissions to access this. So if I click next, and then I log in with my password, I think it's going to be asking me for a thing, authentication, because my organization requires MFA. So 1 second while I log in. MFA is 647411. Oh no, you know my code. And that's it. It gives me access to a front end that looks like this and has a bucket or a folder. Click on this and look at that, a bucket with a bunch of different things. Ha, ha, ha. I can go ahead and download files. I can go ahead and even upload files. Is this revolutionary? Not, but it's a really good way for you to kind of simplify some sort of a file sharing relationship between you, your customers, and maybe even sometimes internally, right? Is there files to be allowed without login? I think, I don't know, actually. I think it requires users. It requires users. Yeah, it requires, definitely requires users. So it's not an open platform, to be honest. It's just like, and you want to make, I'm not sure if you want to do that. I don't want to, I don't think you should be telling, you should be able, you should allow people from the rest of the world to upload files to random bucket. So yeah, it has to be a user. Again, it can be as simple as, like, imagine if I wanted to give you folks in the chat ability to upload files here, I would give you a username and just register your email here, and you would be able to upload stuff here, which is really, really cool. Awesome. Moving on. Like it. Again, I see this in the screenshot. You see Jeff Go. That's Jeff Bar. You can do like a logo, I guess. Sure. Neat feature. Very cool. FSX. We're back to FSX right now. Intelligent tiering. Basically, it's just it's a new storage class, optimizing storage costs, all of those things. So this is all about optimizing storage costs. Specifically, when you set up this, you can reduce your cost up to 85%, which is always important, because intelligent tiering, you should always enable intelligent tiering where, well, not always. Most of the time, you should enable intelligent tiering, because that will usually save you a lot of money whenever it comes to any sort of AWS storage, specifically in this case, FSX. So yeah. Oh, that's even, I even have a video here. Look at that. So thank you, Wojciech, for doing this video. But basically, yeah, you can set this up like using quick create. It's using only for OpenZFS, so it's not FSX for Lustre in this case. It's OpenZFS. You can set up intelligent tiering. To be honest, that is what you should be using for most workloads. Simple as that. Okay. Data transfer terminal. This is a kind of a service slash a place you can go to. It's a super new offering. So if you want to upload a whole lot of files to AWS, right? In the past, you could have just like ordered a snowball or get a truck to your data center or whatnot. Now you can actually go to a specific facility, a private, secure facility, a physical location, and have basically your storage uploaded to the cloud, which is fantastic, right? It's kind of one of those services that, like, I can't really demo, like, unless you're gonna go with me to like Piscataway, New Jersey. Yeah, you just have to go to a place and do this. It's important for folks who wanna migrate a lot of data to the cloud. This is kind of a very, very convenient way to do it if it's close to your place of business. S3 tables. Okay, one of the biggest launches we had during reInvent S3 tables is that for all the folks out there in the world of data, you can now use S3 tables, which is basically an ability for you to use Apache Iceberg tables. It's basically the data written in Apache Parquet format on Amazon S3. It's a specific table, a specific bucket that allows you to do this. It's great. It's a fully managed approach to this. It can give you 3 times the throughput of self-hosted tables, and also 3 times the speed and 10 times the throughput of self-hosted self-managed tables. Because people used to do this in the past. They would have an EC2 instance and then have S3 as some sort of backend for Apache Iceberg tables. No longer. You can literally just, in a couple of clicks, you can have a bucket that is serving as an Apache Iceberg table. Really, really cool. S3 metadata. Okay, so this is one of those things that when you need it, you really need it. So imagine this. Your business stores a lot of files on S3. And these files are documents, customer contracts, images, geospatial data, whatever, right? And the fact that you need to store them there and use them from S3 is critically important. And you want to be aware of all the details of these files. You want to be able to query all those files, a lot of stuff, like all the metadata from these files. This is a great way to do it. Basically, it allows you to use something like Apache Spark or Athena, Redshift, QuickSight as a way to query the metadata of the files contained into an S3 bucket. I'll give you a simple example of my use case for this. I haven't yet implemented this, but like I have a file sharing I have a file sharing application that uploads files to S3, and I manage all those files in S3. And for me to manage those files in S3 bucket, I need to list all of those files constantly and get their tags, right? If I want to get tags. With this, I wouldn't have to do that. I wouldn't have to run a bunch of API calls to list all the files, and for each of the files get their tags. I can just query the metadata, and it will list all of those things for me. So really, really cool. Ehsan is asking, quick question about the S3 tables. Is there another way to use except EMR machines? You can use it just using Spark clients. You don't have to have EMR set up. Like I was able to use it with AWS Glue and then query stuff using Athena. So not necessarily do you need to do it solely through EMR, but I have insight that there may be something coming soon that's going to make it even easier. So yeah. It's one of those things that we're trying to kind of push forward because it's one of those services people are requesting. So yeah, thank you for the question. And there's a couple of other announcements here from you can now have 1 million S3 buckets in your account. Sure. I guess, I mean, does anybody here have 1 million buckets or close to 1 million buckets? I guess. So there's additional conditional rights, all of these things. Again, I'm not gonna go through all of this. They're gonna be in the deck which you can pick up later on. Okay, compute and containers. Let's talk about silicon. Yeah, we're gonna talk about computers. There's a couple of really cool announcements here when it comes to compute and containers. Namely, let's start with containers. There's something called predictive scaling for ECS. ECS, Elastic Container Services, basically a simple way to run containers on AWS. Simple in air quotes, or with an asterisk. This just gives you ability to do some predictive scaling. So it uses, say it with me, machine learning. It uses machine learning to identify patterns and basically it can scale your application before in anticipation of demand spikes, right? Before in the past, you had to either kind of handle the little bit of initial influx and kind of lose some connections until your system scales up, or do some more predictive stuff yourself and kind of hope, okay, I know at 2 p.m. I have most traffic. The thing is that this uses an advanced machine learning algorithm trained on millions of data points and basically works alongside your reactive scaling policies, right? It will scale up your systems. It will not scale down. That's very, very important here. The predictive scaling doesn't trigger scale in based on predictions. It doesn't want to do that, right? Only scale out. So it will not decide, you know what? I don't think you're going to have any traffic now. Down. No, it won't do that. However, it will scale up when it predicts you should have traffic. Really cool, really interesting feature to kind of help you scale up. Future data capacity reservation. So for some EC2 instance workloads, you need to reserve capacity up front. So if you want to do some incredible data processing and you need a incredible quantity of very expensive EC2 instances, in the past, the way you would used to do it is that you could just kind of like reserve it up front. Now, before, I think it was slightly there was a way to reserve it, but it had to be either done immediately or like in a very short time span, right? Now you can do it up to 120 days. So if you're expecting Black Friday sales or I don't know, whatever kind of a holiday sales or what kind of business you own, you can actually 120 days upfront reserve capacity to make sure that your business runs smoothly. Just a quality of life feature that you can just click, and make sure to have those EC2 instances. Okay. New EC2 instance types. Weirdly enough, it's not a lot of them. Like I feel like usually we have more EC2 instance types. There's like a whole laundry list of them, but in this case, not a lot, just a few of them, and even one is not even launched. So i8G, Graviton 4. Shout outs to folks from ARM. We love me some ARM CPUs. New Graviton 4 EC2 instances. i7 IE, Intel Xeon's low latency storage instances. P5 EN. It's an NVIDIA H200 Tensor Core GPU. So these are specific EC2 instances that that have incredible network throughput. So they have a brand new V3 EFA elastic fiber adapter attached to them, and they have a bunch of really interesting NVIDIA Tensor GPUs. So like for example, P5EN instance, if I go and try to launch it right now, I can't. I think you need to reserve capacity. You need to have some sort of a way to do it. So they're really strong instances. It's like $87 an hour or something like that. So big instances, but for your data processing, for your work, for your machine learning workloads, amazing. P6, it's coming soon. It's the one with the new NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs. So the ones that NVIDIA announced recently. So that is coming soon as well. EKS auto mode. Okay, I will show you this. Hopefully, I haven't tried the demo, but EKS auto mode is basically an incredibly simple way to launch EKS. So EKS Elastic Kubernetes service. To create a cluster, there's usually kind of a lot of stuff involved. You need to bring in some of the nodes, and it usually involves you spinning up nodes and then adding them to the cluster, yada yada yada. Now it actually does it all for you. So if you do the new EKS auto mode and you call it a hilarious folk gopher, select the latest Kubernetes version. It creates a recommended role. I'm gonna say, yep, do that. Let's see. Create a recommended node for cluster. Yep, that's it. Next. Sure. Create role. Okay, awesome. And refresh like that. Sets up a node IAM role. So this is for the actual nodes. I'm gonna say it selects this node. Next. Create role. I love the fact that IAM role creation is automated now. Select the VPC. Now let's do something else. Let's do the default VPC, and yeah, and it sets this up, right? Boom, boom, boom. Create, and just like that, in a couple of clicks, I have a cluster that's gonna spin up with the nodes and all. That's it. It's just a simple way. If you want to build some stuff with EKS on AWS, it is relatively easy, relatively simple now to spin up the whole cluster without having to worry. So good, little feature, highly important. Moving on. Hybrid nodes. So this is a feature where you can bring in on-premises or edge infrastructure as nodes to EKS. So basically, if you have an EKS cluster running in the cloud and you have a bunch of cluster nodes you can use as, servers you can use as nodes to that cluster, you can actually bring them in through a private connection using something like Private Link. Is it Private Link? Yeah. And you can connect them basically to be managed using the same cluster. Really cool. I used to actually do this in the past, not with EKS, but with ECS. I had an ECS cluster that would use ECS anywhere, that would kind of bring up clusters. No, I had some servers at home, and I would have them be part of an ECS cluster. So you can kind of do the same thing right now with an on-premises environment with your nodes running on premises. You can manage them all through a cluster through EKS on AWS. Amazon Elastic. So this is in private preview, but it's an Elastic VMware Service, EVS. Basically, it allows you to run VMware Cloud Foundations, or VCF, on EC2 bare metal instances. Basically, it allows you to run your VMware stuff within a VPC. Right? It's still in preview, but it will give you the same familiar VCF stack you've used to at home, and you can run it now on top of bare metal instances in the cloud. Really cool. Just a fantastic thing. Okay, Trainium 2. Trainium 2 is our chip. It's our basically our chip that does for as the name says, it's used for machine learning training, right? And it's a dedicated silicon chip. It's a dedicated silicon chip that exists within your servers. Actually, I asked the service team, is this a CPU? It's not a CPU. It's like an add-in card or something like that. It's like an additional bespoke piece of silicon that just does works with the Neuron SDK. So you have to use the Neuron SDK to be able to use it, but it uses the Trainium chip to be able to train models in a much faster way. So now Trainium 2, 4 times faster, 4 times more memory bandwidth, and 3 times memory capacity compared to the first generation. So it's just a leap forward compared to the first generation. So yeah, now basically EC2 instances with those processors, those chips, are the most powerful compute options for machine learning training and inference. So yeah, there you go. So really cool. This is available right now. Is it right now? Yeah. No, it's in private preview. Sorry. Kat says, does this save money over the new VMware pricing? I don't know. For EVS, I don't. I haven't been using VMware in like 15 years. So, and I know the whole new pricing things is just. I'm not going to comment on it. So I don't know if it changes the pricing of anything, but ultimately, if you are using VMware and you want to have VMware in the cloud, you can have the same exact thing now on bare metal instances. So yeah. A couple more service selected announcements. Again, service versioning, IAM permission simplification, Kubernetes control plane monitoring, yada, yada, yada. All of these things are going to be available in this deck at the end of this presentation. Okay, databases, right? There's a lot of database stuff happening. There's been a lot of announcements, but there has been as much as some other things, but really, really good announcements coming in from the database world. Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL Limitless. Yeah. Basically, it allows you to scale your Amazon Aurora beyond the limits of a single writer instance, right? So in the past, there had to be some custom application logic to be able to manage multiple databases for you to be able to scale out in such a way. Now, with this new feature, it's currently available, you can it will automatically do some stuff like sharding and like I forgot what the name is. There's shards and there's reference databases, shard tables, reference tables. It's all kind of part of this whole thing. You need to use Postgres version 16.4 or higher for this to work. But this is a great way for you to create it says limitless. I'm careful using the word limitless here, but it basically gives you an ability to scale out your Amazon Aurora databases to a massive amount. So if you need that writer capacity to be incredibly big, but you don't want to create any custom, potentially complicated logic internally to be able to manage multiple writers, this is the way to go. DynamoDB warm throughput. So this came at pre reInvent. It's kind of a little thing, and I'm going to show it to you to kind of for it to make more sense. So if I go to DynamoDB, and I go ahead and create a table, and I'm going to call it Trainium is a chip. And during the creation of this one, if I select, let's do ID. If I select customize settings and I use TableCast standard and on-demand capacity, so specifically for on-demand capacity, I can set up warm throughput. Now, warm throughut basically it pre-warms your table to be able to handle this amount of throughput. So what this means that you can keep your default values of 12,000 read units per second, or you can say you can increase to 40,000 things. Now, that means that your table will be able to handle this many read and write units per second or write operations per second as it exists, right? So it's an ability for you to set this up and have an ability to easily pre-warm your database indexes, just to make sure that your database can handle potential spiky workload even on the on-demand things. So when you have an on-demand database and all of a sudden start like hammering this database, it will scale, it will do stuff, but like it may not, be able to handle it at least immediately. So keeping it pre-warm is good. And also it exists for existing tables. So if I go cancel this out, I think I have a table somewhere. Do I have a table? I don't even know. All of these tables are not they're on them. Okay, there's an on-demand table. Okay, let's do an on-demand table. Sure, this one. You can actually set these things up after your table has been created, so you can actually modify this down the line. Cool, little nifty DynamoDB feature that we all like. Oh, there we go. There's even a demo. I didn't have to do this myself, so thank you, Wojtek, for doing all of these things. But I'm gonna move on. This thing, huh? Did you know that price reduction for on-demand throughput is down 50%? So what's fascinating here is that we just cut the price in half. That's it. Just on-demand in half. That's it. Amazing. And how? Well, that's the thing. Like within AWS, there's a lot of work being going on behind the scenes where people are trying to optimize stuff. We're doing they're optimizing the stack and all those things, so we can reduce the costs for ourselves and ultimately reduce the costs for you. So 50% reduction for the on-demand stuff, and also 67% for global tables. That's it. No catch, just cheaper. So fantastic. Steve Radich, realized DynamoDB on demand can only burst a certain amount of which roughly doubles after enough time hitting limit. This lets you say, I want far more limit. You could do this before when you create a table with an insane limit. Yeah. Then immediately switch on demand mode. This is handy. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. Cool tips and tricks. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Okay, so scale to 0 for Amazon Aurora Serverless. Hey kids, Amazon Aurora Serverless is finally serverless, like legit serverless. So we called Amazon Aurora serverless, even though it wasn't serverless. It was kind of like it. When I say serverless, it never scaled down to 0. It scaled down to small, but it would run. So now it is actually serverless. Yeah. So I'm gonna show you how this works. I've created a demo and I've created a table. So if I go to RDS and see my database here, actually I'm going to go and create a database. I'm going to show you how this looks like. So standard create PostgreSQL using a version. Let's do something more modern, 16.4. Production, that's fine. If you look at it here in the, where is it? Serverless V2, yes. Capacity range. Capacity range can go from 0 to 256. This means that after 5 minutes of inactivity, your database will just stop. Just pause. Nothing. That's it. Just pause. And as soon as there is some sort of a request, something coming in, it's going to spin back up. Now, there is some latency. I don't know what the latency is. So let's actually try to test it out. Because I have a database here, and I think this database is now paused. I am going to assume it's paused. Logs and events. So let's see. Successfully paused the instance. So last night at this time, or this is UTC, so this could be now. No, is it last night? Last night, yes. So it's successfully paused the DB instance. So let's actually try to connect to it. I'm going to open up a little SSH session here. And I'm going to connect to this whole thing here. Okay, I need to paste in a password, so I don't want you to see my password. So give me just 1 second. Okay. I just pasted in a connection string, and my connection string contains a password, so which is fine. Okay, look at that. So this is gonna connect to this database that's currently paused. Let's see. Will this work? Maybe it just fails. It works. Okay. Hey. Okay. Let's go back to the table. If I go logs and events, refresh, initiate and resume. Look at that. Was that a long latency? Maybe, but not that long, right? If I do, L, C, databases. There you go. Beautiful. Love it. Ha. Excellent thing. Because again, it scales down to 0 and it's like truly serverless now. Yeah, I want to point something out. It doesn't. There's a couple of limitations when it won't trigger. Like it won't start up for like some automated tasks internally. Like if you have some sort of maintenance stuff within Postgres itself, it won't resume for that. But anything when it comes to a connection to a database, something you want to do on the database itself. So if I go here and I want to make a change like to a configuration, it's going to resume and all those things. but that's it. It actually is really cool because it can scale down to actual zero, which is really good, especially for folks out there who use a relational database and most of their connectivity is within a specific time frame. A really cool way to really cool way to kind of reduce some costs. Brian is saying, bear in mind that the Dynamo DDB partitions are based on throughput. So starting with okay, you're talking about DynamoDB. Yes, thank you, Brian. Okay, moving on. MemoryDB. So folks out there who love to use Redis and Valkey, go ahead. Oop. Somebody spoke? No? Okay. MemoryDB. So for folks out there who like to use Amazon, who like to use Redis or Valkey, Amazon MemoryDB is the place for you to launch those clusters. So in-memory databases. Now they support multi-region, an active multi-region, fully managed Valkey and Redis compatible database. So basically, it gives you the ability to create this. What's fascinating about this, if you need something that's incredibly fast, like you have a microsecond read latency or a single digit millisecond read write, just great, and you can do it across regions, which is always good when you need a multi-region reliability strategy. Oh, and yeah, you can do Oracle databases at AWS. Basically, you can use Oracle Exadata database service. It enables customers to access Oracle database services on the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. How about that? Within AWS data centers. Love it. So for folks out there who are using this is definitely a thing. It's currently still in private preview. So for your interest, you can go check out the link. There are going to be instructions how you can request access to this. Multi-region strong consistency. It's currently in preview, but it basically supports multi-region strong consistency. So that means that you will have it ensures that there's strong consistency between your applications, so that whenever you're reading the data, it doesn't matter which region, right? You're always reading the latest data. So that means the data is strongly consistent, not eventually consistent, across all of your global tables. Very important, specifically if your application requires to do so, right? Up until now, it was eventually consistent. That means that if you write something in a single region and you read it in a different region from a different global table, there could be a chance that you read an older version of that data. Could be. Now with the strong consistency, you finally get strongly consistent multi-region tables. So cool thing. And let's see the demo here. So I actually haven't seen the demo. So running in currently North Virginia here, we have a global table here. And what is Wojciech going to do? Wojciech is going to go ahead and create a replica. So see, eventual consistency and strong consistency. That's it. You can enable strong consistency. Currently, only specific regions are supported: Ohio and Oregon. Create replicas. And now you have 2 replicas that are strongly consistent, which is again fascinating. Look at that. Boom. So that means that even if your database is in the U.S. East North Virginia region, your strongly consistent replicas both in Ohio and Oregon, your replicas in both Ohio and Oregon are going to be strongly consistent. So there you go. Okay. Now this is, I think, the biggest launch when it comes to databases at this year's reInvent. It's currently in public preview, but you can use. There's a new service called Amazon Aurora DSQL. Basically, it's a distributed SQL or a distributed relational database. Now, it's a Postgres compatible databases, and it's an active cluster. That means you can have different. You can have elements of your database cluster split across regions, but it's going to be in an active multi-region configuration. So it's incredibly fast. It is really well done. Now I cannot give it justice in this short time span that I have. So I'm going to paste a link to a video my good buddy and my brother from another mother, Kobus, has done. I'll paste the link in the chat so you can go and see the video on how this is all set up and how does it actually work. Really cool feature. People seem to love this feature so much. There's been a lot of discussions out there when it comes to DSQL. So definitely worth to check out. It's currently in public preview. You can go check it out. Definitely worth a look. Okay, couple other things. PG Vector 0.8 now, Valkey 8.0 in Elastic Cache, volume shrink for storage for RDS, and then minor version upgrades for PostgreSQL on RDS. Okay. Now here's a launch that kind of, is it a launch? I don't even know. So here's an open source tool. So we've created something called Clockbound. So one of the key parts about the DSQL the DSQL database Aurora that I talked about in a second ago is that it needs to use incredibly accurate clocks to synchronize transactions in such a distributed environment, right? So synchronizing transactions between multiple regions requires incredible time precision. So um, for us, the way it works is that we have a there's an Amazon time sync service. Um, it's a time sync service that exists on all AWS hardware. Basically, it goes beyond networking. We completely skip the networking part of it, right? There's no networking. It doesn't even use proper networking. Like doesn't use the network. Doesn't have any of the networking overhead. The data centers receive this global time sync signals directly from satellites, and the time synchronization within those data centers is directly implemented using FPGA hardware and specialized Nitro cards, yada yada. So incredibly important to have those highly accurate um, time sync services, right? And we have this whole third backbone that kind of goes over the AWS Direct cable and just a lot of stuff. But somehow we needed to expose that specific latency. There's always latency between specific time synchronization. Right? There is timestamp corrections that you need to have on your application layer in case of some potential jitter and time accuracy. So we've created Clockbound API, which is an open source tool written in Rust, because of course it is, that actually exposes this thing to the application level. So if you need on your application level to go ahead and if you on the application, if you want to expose and correct uh, your local reference clocks to the EC2 time sync service, sorry, to the EC2 instances, right? This is kind of a way to do it. It gives you this whole thing. So it's available. It's available for you right now. It's available on GitHub. It's an open source tool. You can use it. It's not AWS dependent. It doesn't even anything that has an NTP. It's gonna work, right? So it's not about Amazon time sync. It's literally anything can work. But this is a great way for you to kind of, for those incredibly time sensitive things, to give you the ability to understand the clockbound error area. Yes. Exactly. This SQL is highly dependent on the distributed time system. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Yeah. So, again, the more distributed you go, the more you are reliant on an incredibly accurate time system. So services like this and open source tools like that help you make sure that's gonna work properly. Okay, it's been an hour. We're getting there. We are. Oh my God, I'm not even. Oh, I'm at half slides. Look at that. Oh, that's it. I'm actually.
You've earned a water break here, Darko.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this so you have a second to take a couple sips because that's brutal. You're crushing it. This is awesome.
Good,
Thank you.
good. Thank you. I appreciate the folks in the chat and the comments. Please keep them coming. And yeah, okay. Network and content delivery. There's a couple of announcements here with network and CDNs. One of the features that came in pre-reInvent and it's generally available, it is Amazon CloudFront now supports Google RPC APIs. So if you have a gRPC API, basically something that uses, well, if you have a gRPC endpoint somewhere, you can actually put CloudFront in front of it to serve as a content delivery network, right? That's it. And gRPC is like an open source standard, right? It uses transport over HTTP2 protocols. So it's you know, as a developer, you don't have to care about gRPC or anything in the back. You can literally just put CloudFront in front of a gRPC API and have it work like that. Beautiful, amazing. Again, CloudFront is one of those services that kind of has to exist and is a huge part of a lot of the things people build on AWS. So additionally, having the ability to use it in front of gRPC is just a great little thing. VPC origins. Okay, so So I talk about CloudFront that it's a great way to kind of position it in front of resources. So like an S3 bucket, a gRPC API endpoint. I don't even know what else, right? But what did we do in the past? Like amplify and all those things, right? But putting it in front of an EC2 instance was a problem because the challenge there was specifically you could put it in front of an EC2 instance, but if when the instance is exposed to the internet, you can still access it, right? You have to do some kind of quirky firewall rules and network control policies to be able to kind of limit that. But now you can actually use VPC origins, CloudFront with VPC origins. Basically, have a private resources within a VPC. So your EC2 instances, your load balancers, or whatnot, can be exposed to the internet directly and solely through CloudFront. So great. If you run a web application, if you have a web application that's running within a VPC on an EC2 instance, you don't have to expose the instance to the internet, not even through a load balancer. You can just expose it through a CloudFront, and that's it. So, really good, really neat feature, and I think it is one of those things that like kind of like, oh, this didn't work in the past, but yeah, it didn't work in the past. So cool. There we go. Functions update. So, what is this? So Amazon CloudFront now supports origin modifications with CloudFront functions. Basically, additional features to CloudFront functions. I'm not terribly deep into CloudFront functions, but basically, you can now write custom logic within CloudFront functions to override origin properties, right? So CloudFront functions are basically Lambda functions running at the edge, and in this case, it allows you to basically update some stuff on the actual requests coming into CloudFront using functions. So yeah. Hey, thank you, Steve, for being part of this. I appreciate it. Again, if you're missing the link, I think I don't know. Somebody's gonna have to share this with you later on. And yeah, thank you all for being part of this. I do appreciate your devotion. Okay, access VPC resources using AWS access VPC resources via AWS private link. And this is a way to integrate these VPC resources such as EC2 instances, ECS clusters, EKS stuff, and even your own HTTP services across multiple VPCs and Amazon boundaries, and use them to build event-driven applications. So in essence, what you're doing, what this is, it allows you to, when you're building an application with something like Event Bridge or step functions, it actually allows you to connect these services, to connect these resources through this whole workflow, right? It uses AWS private link, and it uses Amazon VPC Lattice to be able to do this. So yeah, really neat features, especially if you want to do this across multiple Amazon boundaries. Okay, a couple of more things. We built in ECS support for Lattice, load balance capacity unit reservation for ALBs and NLBs, UDP support for private link, and VPC Lattice adds TCP support for VPC resources. Oh my God, there's a lot of. Isn't there too much acronyms at times, right? I also realize my camera isn't focusing. Focus on me, please. There you go. There you go. Okay, moving on. Analytics. There's a lot of analytics stuff came in throughout the reInvent period. So let's get crack-a-lackin'. Express brokers. So for folks out there using MSK, Amazon Managed Service for Apache Kafka, right? There's something called Express brokers now, and brokers are basically just stuff that sits in front of your Kafka stuff that does a lot of routing and all those things. But Express brokers now just faster. That's it. Just reduce time to minimum storage operation, right? More throughput, faster scaling, and of course reduces recovery time. So just slightly faster. Of course, it potentially costs more, right? I don't know exact details on pricing, but if you need higher throughput and faster scaling for your Apache Kafka needs, and you're running MSK, this is the thing you need to do. Awesome. Okay, CDC, change data capture. It's not the Center for Disease Control. It's not Center for Disease Control. It's a change data capture. So a new feature coming in, it's currently in public preview, is that Amazon Data Firehose supports MySQL and Postgres relational database as a source, and Apache Iceberg tables store in Amazon S3 inside of the AWS Data Glue catalog, it supports them as the destination. So what this means is that you can now basically use change data capture. And by the way, change data capture is just capturing all the changes in your inside of your database or some sort of data source. For example, if you update a field, that's being captured as a change, and something can happen at then, right? So in this case, anytime there's a change to your database, something's being written to your database, it's being added to Amazon Data Firehose is basically streaming that data into an Apache Iceberg table. Why? Many reasons. Data warehousing, data lakes, analytics, real-time data analysis, all those things. But now you don't have to have this kind of complicated glue logic in the back that will scour your databases and follow these things. But now it's automatically enabled for this. That's it. Really cool feature, especially on this. Now, currently, there's work in progress to have this enabled for Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, and even MongoDB. So, fun stuff. Okay. Another interesting one with VPC private link introduced was to extend it to multi-region connectivity. Yeah, exactly. So all of those things, great. Helping you kind of do stuff multi-region when you need to do it is key. But remember, when you need to do it, you don't always need to do multi-region stuff. Steve, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. I appreciate you being here, Steve. I think, yeah, Kathy is going to share the link later on. So I appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Amazon Kinesis Data Streams, or KDS. I was actually kind of thrown by a second, like, what is KDS? I've never heard of KDS. KDS in my hometown is Kablovsko Distribucioni System, which means like it's a cable TV provider back home. I'm like, what? But KDS is Kinesis Data Streams. So just simple as it's a 5 times increase from previously supported limits, right? That's it. So you can stream a lot more data. Simple as that. Basically, previous support limits. So now it's up to 10 gigabytes per second per stream, and consumers can read up to 20 gigabytes a second per stream. In the past, it used to be 2 gigabytes per second for writers and 4 gigabytes a second for readers. So massive increase, specifically if you are using Kinesis data streams. Okay, we are getting into starting to sprinkle AI on things, right? We haven't talked about AI so much, right? It feels weird. But first example of some AI. Apache Spark in AWS Glue. It's currently in preview, but it allows AI upgrades for Apache Spark from an older version, right? So if you're using an older version of AWS Glue, so something, some older version like 2 or 3, you can migrate it using AI to 4.0. Unfortunately, not 5.0. We launched 5.0 recently, but it's not currently yet supported. So basically, this feature will reduce the time that the data engineers, spend on modernizing your Spark applications, allowing you to focus on other things. So just kind of a simple way to do some migrations to a newer version of Glue. So excellent. Clean room. There's been a couple of updates when it comes to clean rooms. Clean rooms are a service that allow you to kind of like bring in data from external locations to do some machine learning on stuff, right? But yeah, there's additional features here, like for example, ML custom modeling. Basically, it enables you to generate predictive insights with their partners, right? With partner data, running your own custom machine learning models, and using their data in this clean room. So for folks out there who don't know what a clean room is, imagine you're working with a partner. Let's say I'm working with Twitch. Twitch is not, well, technically Amazon, but not Amazon, and I want data from Twitch, some specific analytics data that they want to share with me so I can do some magic stuff. Instead of them giving me the data outright, we can use something called a clean room, which is a place where we can kind of both come together and work on that data. They will provide the data there. I will do my analytics on the data, and they can extract the data. That's it. So this is kind of a new feature to it. It's a very interesting feature for specifically when you when you collaborate with partners on data workloads. So good. Okay, and we have a next generation of Amazon SageMaker. So SageMaker has been this kind of a critical part of our machine learning stack, right? SageMaker has, it's just a notebook. But no, it's actually a lot more. SageMaker is so much more that it includes a lot of different things when it comes to data analytics, building, training, tuning, and even hosting models on AWS. So I'm going to show you this whole unified experience if I can. If I go here and refresh, there, session expired. It looks vastly different than from what we used to do in the past. So SageMaker, as you can see, you have to set it up initially. It's going to tell you, oh, create a unified domain, right? I do already have a domain, I think. Yes, I do. Yes. So you create that unified domain, but then and you click Open Unified Studio, and it will get you this wonderful. I think I need to do SSO. Yeah, there you go. Yes. Okay, nice. And basically, you have my user assigned here, and I can do my data catalog stuff. You can even do your like generative AI playground. That means you can you can use all of the stuff in the Bedrock. If yeah, there you go. You can use your Bedrock stuff here, and you can tell me a joke about AI. But this is a thing that kind of it all unifies it in the same dashboard, which is really cool, especially for folks out there who don't necessarily need access to AWS, but they still want to work with machine learning and want to work with the data stuff, data lakes and whatnot, with Amazon SageMaker. So let's see the joke. Why did AI bring a pencil to the lecture? Because it wanted to draw its own conclusions. I think we should ban AI. Okay. Uh, Moving on, SageMaker Lakehouse. Lakehouse is kind of an addition to Amazon SageMaker that leverages the Lakehouse architecture, basically that combines the best things from both data warehouses and data lakes. Get it? Yeah. So it leverages some of the services that come from reInvent. Like for example, it leverages Amazon S3 tables, and and mechanisms power something called Redshift, basically Redshift managed storage. So yeah, with SageMaker Lakehouse, you can define fine-grained permissions to data locations, so you can enforce them across multiple AWS accounts. So basically, it means that all data stored within SageMaker Lakehouse can be queried from an Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio, right? And engineers such as and you can use them. You can also query them from EMR, Glue, Redshift, all of those things. But it can all be controlled centrally when it comes to permissions and federated queries, all those things. So interesting feature, really cool. Specifically if you are working with a lot of data. Okay, Amazon Glue 5.0. Hey, there you go. That's a thing. That's the thing that we kind of mentioned in a second. Yes, AWS Glue received a new version to 5.0, which means you get improved performance, enhanced security, support for SageMaker Unified Studio, all those fun things. Now, it improves a couple of things. It improves Apache Spark to 3.5.2, Python. It uses Python 3.11 and Java 17. So additional just upgrades, right? It supports Apache Hudi 0.15, Apache Iceberg 1.6.1, and Delta Lake 3.2. So just moving it up there, right? Just moving up the stack, having you more features, more security. So folks out there who are using Glue, definitely part of your things. Okay, first, this is the first real showcase of generative AI today. And scenario analysis is in QuickSight with Amazon Q. It's the first patch on Amazon Q, and we're online on slide 73. So basically, it's an AI assistant data analysis experience that helps folks who out there use Amazon QuickSight, the analytics dashboard service. Basically, it helps business users find answers to complex problems. Now, it doesn't just give you an answer, and this is why I like this feature. It doesn't just like answer. It actually guides you step by step through in-depth analysis, right? Suggesting analytical approaches, automatically analyzing data. So it not only just provides you with data, but it also helps you understand a little bit more, which is incredibly critical when it comes to trustworthiness of stuff created or brought to you by generative AI. Is that instead of it just kind of doing the magic in the back end, it actually takes you step by step to achieving these outcomes. It's currently available in public preview, so you can definitely go check it out. But it's a I like this approach. I very much like this approach, not only because it helps you become better, but also it's more accurate. One of the things about generative AI is that if you ask it to do things step by step or explain its thought process, it's actually going to do things more correctly. So there you go. Most of the time. Okay, moving on. Data lineage. So this is a new feature coming in from SageMaker, again in SageMaker Unified Studio. This is important specifically if you need to understand where the data has come from. So it uses something called Open Lineage. It's an Open Lineage compatible, and it uses it works with Amazon AWS Glue and Redshift. Basically, it captures lineage events from these data sources. And for folks out there, lineage is important. Data lineage is data lineage is a concept of understanding where data has come from, right? So like, if you have a bit of data inside of your data lake, sure, where did that come from, right? Is it from a database? Is it from where? Whenever when it was chucked? So like just a lot of metadata information on your data that's being captured, and you can use it in the future. Incredibly important for some data analytics workloads, and specifically for some governance stuff. So yeah. It's mainly for compliance. I mean, sometimes it is for compliance, but also sometimes it's for what's the word? Veracity. Veracity. Yes, veracity. It's a word I learned this year. Veracity. So correctness of data. Just making sure that the data is actually the stuff you're looking at it is trustworthy. So yeah. Like if you have a bunch of data and like you don't know where that it came from, do you trust that data? So this gives you a little bit of the history of a specific data point. A bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other stuff on Amazon QuickSight and data zones and Glue updates and Apache Flink updates. So whole lot of things that, of course, I'm not gonna go through each one of them because there's 2 pages of stuff. And yeah, taking a sip before the next section, because the next section is. We've all been waiting for this one, right? Right, folks?
Yeah. Darko, while
Yeah,
you
look at
take
that. Yeah.
a water there, somebody said that you were amazing and it felt like only 15 minutes has gone by. So
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's I thank you for having me here, if anything else. So, I'll be honest, like a lot of these things like happened during reInvent and pre-reInvent, and I didn't know about them before I kind of researched this whole deck. So a lot of these kind of experiences that I have here are legit. Like I'm learning about these things not today for the first time. That'd be kind of weird, like, oh, huh. But like not so long ago I learned about these things. So a lot of stuff happens and I know it's overwhelming. So my job here is to try to at least make it a little bit accessible, fun, and in a discussion. So yes, keep those questions coming, and I appreciate the feedback. So let's get into this thing. Let's start off with a bang. Prompt optimization. So in the world of generative AI, prompts and prompt engineering has been this thing that's kind of been over all of our heads and is incredibly important for a successful application powered by generative AI. Creating a good prompt is more critical than ever. So Prompt Optimizer, available in public preview right now, can help you optimize your prompts. So let's actually do this. I'm going to go here and we're going to go into Amazon Bedrock. I will say Bedrock is becoming my favorite service. So in Bedrock, Bedrock prompt management, you can actually create prompts. So if I go ahead and create a prompt, and I'm going to call it speech analysis. And this is kind of a way for you to store prompts. Prompt manager. So this is a tip for all of you out there building applications that use generative AI. Store your prompts centrally. It's easier to manage. It's easier to kind of control them if you want to update them in the future, rather than just hard coding them in your applications. So I'm going to create the prompt and say like, you are what is it? You are a helpful assistant that helps me analyze technical documentation. Give me the highlights of this doc, and then doc, right? So that's my prompt, right? That's my system instruction. So let's do something here. I'm gonna select a model. It's for model. I'm gonna select a model. Let's use Nova Pro, like that, and I'm gonna select a test variable. Let's find a doc. Let's find.
Darko,
Yes. Hi.
sorry to interrupt. Can you talk through real quick why you made that selection
The selection of what?
of which model?
Okay. I just select a model to use to test this prompt with. I use the Nova Pro model. I'm going to talk about them in a bit, but basically selecting which model, which generative model I want to use to test out on this specific model. I want to maybe I can use Anthropic here, Sonnet, or Meta, but yeah. Just select it here because when I actually run this, it's going to use this model to test it out, right? That's the whole reason I did it. So if I come here and say, let's see, RFC, does somebody 1918? What is RFC 1918? Okay, let's take this RFC. Can I easily download this RFC? There we go. Boom. Text, copy. I'm gonna paste the whole RFC in a text field. That's horrible. And I'm gonna run this. So what it did here, it actually, you were helpful with it, and it just used that prompt. And at the end, it's gonna just run this right now. It's gonna provide the output of this, right? And it says, okay, cool. That's it. That's nothing special, right? That's a prompt. So where's the optimization part here? Well, so if you scroll up and you find this magic, see, I can't even zoom in like a normal person. You find this magic optimize button here. Look at that, optimize. You click this, and what it does here is actually goes ahead and analyzes your prompt, and it will create a better prompt for you. One of the things I've learned in my time building generative AI applications, or applications powered by generative AI, is that prompts are incredibly important, and I actually use generative AI to update my prompts. I give it a stupid prompt, like here's a prompt that I want to do, and it actually makes it into better words. So look at that. This is the variant of a prompt. Defines tasks, defines guidelines. Like it added a lot more than my little pitiful prompt here, right? So it's a really cool way for you to kind of like set this thing up really good. And now, if I do this, is it using, or is it both Nova Pro and Nova Pro? If I run all, it's going to produce, I'm going to see what's going to happen right now. So it's going to run both of these things, right? Output and output. Let's see what happens. So I shouldn't have pasted in such a long document. But it says here, your task is to do the text in, and then does the text, right? So this does the whole thing here. And then here's the output. Here's the technical documentation. And then here's the output on this one, right? So, and it's your job now to compare one of these two. So basically what it does, it actually helps you optimize your existing prompts. Nothing special, but it's a really cool little feature that can help you from your basic prompts get into something better. And of course, you can save this prompt like exit comparison. And I'm going to say, I'm going to keep variant one, and that's it. Now my speech analysis prompt is going to be this one, and that's it. Nothing too crazy, but incredibly useful. Because in the past, what I would literally just copy paste my prompt into an actual model and say, is this good? Make it better. But again, this thing is kind of built in now into your prompt management. And there's the demo. I already showed you the demo, so I don't have to go through it. Bedrock flows. So actually, it's now generally available. It used to be called prompt flows in the past. Amazon Bedrock prompt flows, and we changed the name now to Bedrock flows. Basically, it's a visual builder in Amazon Bedrock that kind of gives you the ability to build this whole flow of a service, right? Like if once the input comes in and it goes to this specific prompt, and then the output from that result goes to a different prompt, right? If you want to chain multiple different things together. So it is a really cool way to do it. So there's a couple of new features received, enhanced security by basically being able to add the guardrails to each individual node. Like in the past, you couldn't do that. And of course, there's additional traceability for debugging. Maybe if you use a meta model with one filter. Yeah, exactly. I don't even know. I wanna tell the folks out there, if you want to play around with models when you're bored at home, and you can run Olama, try the unfiltered models. There's like no, is it unfiltered, or there's uncensored models, and those are, oh my god. It's a good thing we don't have those on the internet. But yeah. So yeah, Somebody mentioned here about is it going to be shared? Yes, I think it was Julian. I think the message is gone, but yes, Julian, it's going to be shared soon. I'm going to share the link soon. I think I have a slide somewhere. So yes, you can get it there, and you can do all kinds of shenanigans. And but also, if you're not going to be here, Kathy is going to share it with you as well. Okay. Similar to Amazon Aurora serverless, finally being serverless, you can actually scale down to 0 for Amazon SageMaker. So one of the challenges I had in the past with Amazon SageMaker, I mentioned SageMaker can not only train your models or do some data stuff, but um, uh, it can also host inference, right? So for example, if you have a model that you train, and I'm not talking about generative AI, I'm talking any model, right? If you have a model and you host it on Amazon SageMaker as an inference endpoint, it's going to cost you some money, right? What now it allows you that it allows inference endpoints to be scaled down to 0, basically costing you no money when it's not running. So really cool. It's kind of one of those things that kind of prevented me from ever using SageMaker endpoints for that, because I didn't want to run a model somewhere and just have to pay for it and not ever use it. This thing, it kind of solves my problems. So uh, Justin says, I'm a little hesitant to test these out. Yeah, if you're talking about uncensored models, I get it. I'm joking, but it's a little, it's kind of like, it's a very unfiltered experience. Let me put it that way. How are the costs around Bedrock and messing around with AI prompts? So I don't think I don't know about the prompts. I think prompt management doesn't there's no cost in storing prompts. And when it comes to optimization and all of these things, the cost comes here is literally just how big your prompt, so how big your token, how much data you're sending back and receiving. That's it. So whenever you run, when you click the run button here, what happens? Your prompt, along with the document you are sending here, is being sent into model in the terms of tokens, right? And a token is roughly a word, roughly, and it's returning you a lot of tokens back as well. So when it comes to model, depending on the model type, there's a cost per 1,000 tokens, and to be honest, it's pennies on the dollar, like just literally nothing. Well, nothing, not nothing. It's something, but it's incredibly. It can be very cheap. So it's not, especially if you want to play around the test stuff. It's very cheap to do so. So. Um, Knowledge base, so specifically when it comes to retrieval augmented generation, this can be slightly pricey because it has to run a database somewhere. You can use Elastic Cache, so Elasticsearch serverless, which is slightly cheaper because it's serverless. But yes, it should be it should be relatively cheap. If you're just running inference like this, it's very low cost. So for example, I have an application I built that I use Bedrock as a backend, and I use my own personal AWS account, and I don't think I paid yet at all. So yeah. Amazon S3, Amazon S3 depends on, again, the amount of storage you're using, the storage type you're using, and how much data is going out. But it can also be very cheap if you optimize your storage. So definitely, there's a lot of opportunities for you to optimize costs on AWS. Do not take the default value always. Think about it. Okay, moving on. Okay, SageMaker. What's next? Amazon Q for Business. There's been a lot of interesting kind of additions to Amazon Q Business, which is another Q product. I know it's confusing, but Amazon Q Business is this non-developer service that kind of integrates with data stuff, and you can build these like chatbots that can help your business like understand things. Like in this example, it's a Slack bot. Features that were added throughout the reInvent and around reInvent there are plenty, but for example, you can Amazon Q Business can now extract insights from images within documents, which is a really cool thing. So if you give it like a PDF that has a bunch of images, it will not only extract out insights from just the text, but also from the images in the text. So really cool. It's a very nifty feature, and we use it internally quite intensely. We have our own version of Amazon Q Business for our internal workloads. So really cool. Amazon Bedrock has a couple of additional features. There is additional custom connectors for knowledge bases. So we mentioned knowledge bases here, but and knowledge bases is a RAG implementation, or retrieval augmented generation. So now you can stream data inside of into a knowledge base. There's some additional stuff for RAG evaluation, and there's a preview of model evaluation that uses an LLM as a judge. Basically, it uses another large language model to determine the outputs of a model you're evaluating. So like you're looking into things like how helpful was the response, how pleasant was the model, yada yada yada. So there's a lot of little quality of life improvements when it comes to bedrock and knowledge bases and model selection. Knowledge, model distillation. So this is a feature that came into Bedrock. It's currently in public preview, but now you can actually distill a smaller model from a larger model. So let's say you can take something from Amazon or Meta or Anthropic, a big old model, and you can use it as a teacher, right? And with specific data, right? You can actually distill this model to your specific use case, right? So let's say you want a model that's going to answer some simple questions with yes or no, or like it will use some reasoning based on the inputs it receives, but you only want it to respond in certain ways. Instead of you just going ahead and fine tuning a whole model or training your own new thing, you can actually distill an existing model into a way smaller model that's faster and cheaper. So for business use cases, this is an incredibly good feature because again, it will save you money in the long run without having to run this big old model on big old GPUs. So really, really, really cool. What is this? Automated reasoning. Okay, so this is the most complicated launch we've launched. Automated reasoning. It sounds like wish-wash, but automated reasoning is actually quite impressive. So we've become the first and only major cloud provider that offers automated reasoning in generative AI offerings. So automated reasoning is part of the AWS of the Amazon Bedrock guardrails. Now guardrails are basically ways of telling Bedrock, hey, don't talk about this, or avoid these topics, or if this thing comes in, talk about something else. Automated reasoning is actually an excellent way to create safeguards to prevent factual errors. And it basically prevents a model from hallucinating. And it all does that using math. So I'm not smart enough to tell you how does it do it, but it basically uses mathematical techniques to safeguard the responses, right? So you can give it like for example, in the link here in the blue blog post you see is there's an example by my colleague Antje where she uses a ticketing policy from an airline, right, as part of this thing, and the model will take that document and it will generate these sets of rules and it will convert them into math. I'm not smart enough to understand how that works, but it creates math. And it uses automated reasoning and hard math to actually determine whether the response from an LLM is correct or not, right? So it's not just using natural language processing, it is using mathematical techniques. So fantastic thing. So if you want to make sure that the models running on Amazon Bedrock need to provide accurate factual data and prevent hallucinations, this is one of the ways to do it. Really cool thing. Public preview right now, only available in 2 regions, but definitely one of the things you should check out, specifically if you want to make sure that your model doesn't produce stuff it shouldn't. Okay, multi-agent collaboration. Yes. So agents are kind of one of the big things right now when it comes to large language models and generative AI, right? It's not just a model out there, but it's agents. These are autonomous agents that do certain things, right? When it comes to handling a complex task, well, the way agents works is like you can go and chat to a large language model and tell it, hey, book me a flight. What it does, it triggers a bunch of different bits of code to actually do that. That means that agent goes and autonomously does stuff and comes back. So when it comes to complex tasks, sometimes you want to trigger multiple agents, right? Like a specialized agent that would do this. And for example, I don't know, you will have an agent that will book your flights, but that agent needs to trigger an agent that will reserve a hotel. I'm simplifying, but you will have multiple agents do things. Now, you in the past you could do this. There was a lot of I forgot the name of those open source tools, but there's a lot of really cool open source solutions out there that can help you do this. That will basically create like a cohort of agents that would do multiple things for you, right? But now it's all part of Amazon Bedrock, right? Instead of you having to navigate these multiple services, this is a really cool way to do it. So if you have complex tasks that require agents, multi-agent collaboration is a thing you should definitely go and check it out. Again, in public preview. Amazon Bedrock Marketplace. Amazon Bedrock was limited to a subset of models, right? If I show you Bedrock here and you go into, let's say, chat, and I select a model, these are the models I have, like Amazon, Anthropic, Cohere, Meta, and Mistral, right? However, there is a marketplace. You can go to model catalog and find other from Archie, from Cambai, from Gretel. So all of these things, look at Hugging Face. Look at all these stuff from Hugging Face, IBM, John Snow Labs. So all of these things are, you can now have these models and you can actually deploy them to um, Amazon Bedrock. So like if I select this one and deploy, it will basically create an endpoint. And of course, it's not going to be as cheap as running Nova or Anthropic on there, because it needs to deploy these things. But now you can do this. It's a big old marketplace offering where you can select a plethora of models available within the marketplace. New feature available for you right now. Really, really cool thing. There's even some serverless models out there, but I think serverless models are just the ones that you already have enabled. Yeah, so those are the serverless models. And these are all of the other ones that are not serverless technically. So yeah.
Hey, Darko, I'm going to chime in on
Yes.
that.
Yes, absolutely.
For those of you that are practitioners and not from partners, you don't just put something up on Marketplace. There's a pretty lengthy vetting process. So if you're like me and your first thought was, ooh, what do I know is going on in that model? You can rest assured that it's been vetted.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Getting into the marketplace is not as simple as people think. So, but it's a really cool thing. And again, and especially, and I think there's also additional vetting when it comes to the actual model catalog on Bedrock. So like, just not any model can go here. But yeah, and it's a good thing because it offers people access to models that's not necessarily usually would find in major offerings. But Amazon Bedrock gives you the broadest opportunity to use models you want. So, which is really, really cool. Awesome. Let's move on. Oh, and another demo that I didn't know that existed, but I showed you this already. So, seem Wojtek and I think alike. Okay. Amazon Nova. Yes, I kind of give you a sneak peek of this, but these are the new foundation models from Amazon. In the past, the models available from Amazon were the Titan models, which were okay, to say the least. Amazon Nova is the next generation model that we have right now. It is really cool. There's Micro, Light, and Pro. These are like the size of and the Premiere is coming soon. These are incredibly competent models right now on Amazon Bedrock. And I've showed you, showed one of them to you in the model thing. But if I come here in the chat playground and select Amazon Pro, first of all, 300,000 tokens. That's an incredible context size. If you look at Anthropic, it's 200,000 tokens. So a third more than the largest model we can handle here. So you can select these models, and again, from anything simple like I don't know, sing me a song about DevOps, to a lot more complex reasoning in when it comes to like some additional models. So really cool, definitely worth testing out. There's of course the image playground. You can select Nova models here. Oh, I don't think, do I even have? I don't think even I've even enabled it, or is it not even available yet? I think I don't even know. Uh, yeah, it's available, but I haven't enabled it yet. So there's also like the canvas models where you can do image generation, which are really, really cool as well. So new models definitely worth checking out. Let us know your feedback on them. We're always looking to improve these things, but definitely Nova models are out there right now when it comes to capabilities with the other ones there. Prompt routing. Okay, back to cost optimization. This is amazing. I am a huge fan of this service, and I'm gonna show this to you. I think I can. I haven't tested a demo here, but yes. Okay, prompt routers. Picture this: you go into you build an application powered by generative AI. and you ask your user comes and says, asks a question, I don't know, what is your policy on returns? And your model gives an answer, right? But then your user comes in and says, um, explain to me blah 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 blah, something incredibly complicated. The problem is you have to pick the strongest model for that one, right? You have to pick the strongest model for you, the biggest, most expensive, the slowest model for that whole application, because you want to make sure that your users get the right output at the right time. What prompt routers do is they actually use intelligence to detect which model should be invoked, right? So in this example, the Anthropic prompt router, I'm going to open it in Playground, and I'm gonna tell it here, write me a hello world application in C++, right? And it's gonna go ahead and write me a hello world application in C++, right? Super great, right? Nothing terrible, right? If we look here, it's gonna use Sonnet for this case, right? That's the bigger model. If I tell it, sing me a song about DevOps, um, it's gonna do it in which model? Look at that. Let's see. And this is using Haiku, right? So it was able to intelligently determine which model should use for which task. If I'm asking it a little bit more complex task, to be honest, I think the Haiku could have done this. But if I ask it a slightly more complex task, it's going to go ahead and use a more better model. And if it's a very simple task like singing a song about DevOps, it's going to use a simpler, faster, cheaper model. How does it know how to prioritize actually versus cost? I don't know. I assume there's something in front that actually, based on the prompt, it determines is it a complex task versus a not complex task, and that's it. So I assume there's some sort of reasoning happening in the front, and you would assume that it's incredibly slow to do that, but as you can see, it's pretty fast. Like if I go and ask it, I don't know, how many floppy disks does it take to get to the moon? It's just responds. Right? There's not a lot of delay here. Like I haven't noticed a lot of things, and it chose the Haiku model, right? Yeah. So I think this should be a Sonnet model in my opinion. Um, let's do this. Do the math and calculate how much flop 3.5-inch floppies would I need? Now it's probably gonna understand. Okay, do the math. There's something gonna happen here. We need to do a lot of complex model, and you can see it's slower. Like I'm not sure if you noticed, but like this is slower. And then this should be Sonnet now. Yeah, there. Looks like a prompt layer. Exactly. I think there's like a little thing that happens in front that when you send the prompt, there's a incredibly fast model that decides that this or that. I don't know the exact architecture of this, but I would assume it works in that way. So, and like for the prompt routers, it's currently in preview, and it supports the Meta prompt router and the Anthropic prompt router. So that's it. You cannot. I think for now those are the only ones that are offered right now. So, but why is this? Cost savings. That's it. Cost savings. You don't need to throw everything into Sonnet when Haiku will do this job. So moving on. Um, um, enhanced processing and retrieval. So this is additional features when it comes to Amazon Bedrock. So like if you edit a document, it's gonna give you like it's able to do a lot more data automation when it comes to getting insights from like a multimodal content. So if you pass it an image of like a birth certificate or something, it's gonna be able to extract a lot more data on it. Um, Amazon Bedrock knowledge bases, so your RAG implementation now supports multimodal models, right? That means you can put documents as part of your or visual information as part of your RAG as well. Bedrock supports graph RAG, powered by Neptune, basically having a graph database as a retrieval augmented generation thing, which is kind of becoming a cool thing right now. People have started using graph databases for retrieval augmented generation. And now supports better knowledge base supports structured data retrieval. Basically, it transfers your natural language to SQL queries. So simple as that. Okay, moving on. Multimodal. Okay, so Guardrails, incredibly important feature. I already mentioned something from it, but it now supports multimodal toxicity. So if you in the past I could give it a piece of text that it didn't like it could detect toxicity in a message. Now it can also detect toxicity within images. So yeah, if you're using a multimodal model like Anthropics, it can actually detect stuff within an image like a content filter stuff. So really cool thing. So yeah, in addition to this, Amazon Bedrock receives an update in the form of the independent API. Basically, independent API apply guardrail, which allows for evaluation of inputs and outputs without invoking foundation models. So yeah, basically, you can you can apply guardrails also for models hosted on Amazon SageMaker. This means that not only the models hosted on Bedrock, but wherever you are running these models, even if you're running them locally using an API call with an SDK. So yeah, really cool. Another couple of things: fine tuning, haiku, and poly updates, uh, stuff, things, and things. Okay, app services and integration. We're almost there. App integration and serverless. So there's a couple notches when it comes to serverless. I'm gonna kind of go through a couple of things here. App sync events, basically additional this feature added AWS App Sync as a new this feature added to AWS AppSync as a new capability lets you, the developers, easily broadcast real-time data to a few million subscribers using secure and performant serverless WebSocket APIs. So yeah, interesting little feature, really cool thing, especially for folks out there in AppSync land. It's if you haven't checked out AppSync, definitely worth a shot. It's a really great service that kind of abstracts a lot of stuff out from you, especially if you're using graph databases and stuff like that. So for folks out there using Amplify, AppSync is definitely one of those things you're going to be using a lot. Amazon EventBridge latency reduction. It's kind of one of those things. EventBridge is I keep saying this. I think this is my new favorite service, but EventBridge is by far my favorite service. EventBridge kind of like is this core of an event-driven architecture on AWS, but now we've reduced latency 94% or like a 94% improvement in end-to-end latency for event buses, which is insane. So yeah, if you have a high latency application, it's incredibly important because in the past there was some latency before the message would come into the bus and something else would pick it up. But improving this for high, so for sensitive application that need highly latency sensitive applications, this is a very good improvement. So just another performance improvement for a service we all love to use. So. And in this case, end-to-end latency is actually measured by the time taken from event ingestion to its first event invocation attempt. That means event comes into the bus and something tries to invoke. So yeah. Lambda snap start. So now you can have Lambda snap start for not only Java application, but you can use snap start for Python and .NET functions, right? It basically improves Lambda startup performance, right? Sometimes, depending on which framework you're using, it can take a couple of seconds for a Lambda to start from a cold start to incredibly low. Yeah, so it's really cool. It's now C#, F#, Python, and even PowerShell. So yeah, it's great. It's an opt-in capability, so you have to enable it yourself. But it's a really cool thing. Definitely do check it out, or just use Rust. I'm just saying. I will never drop that. Okay, event source mappings for CloudWatch events. Basically, somebody may say finally, but from this year, AWS Lambda announces new Amazon CloudWatch metrics for Lambda event source mappings (ESMs), which provide customers, yourself, the visibility into processing state of each events read by an ESM, right? Basically, that's subscribed to an SQS. So a neat little feature. Basically helps you monitor the flow and status of events. So for folks out there building serverless applications, really cool. Okay, so this is something that kind of I didn't know JSONada is a thing. I was like, somebody wrote JSON wrong, so there's a typo. JSONada is apparently a thing. JSONada is a lightweight query and transformation language for JSON. I didn't know that was a thing. So now basically you have step functions support JSONata and variables, which is kind of like, again, you feel like that should be been the case already, but yeah, yeah. It's really good, and the whole point of these services are to improve developer experience. That's kind of thing, right? Adding capabilities, for example, to data variables accessible throughout the whole state machine, right? You can have variables that any little bit of your state machine of your step functions can access. So, and also addition to have JSON in compared to like JSON path. So exactly, S3 SQS was the first AWS service. Yeah, absolutely. The first, actually, the first public service. I think S3 is older than SQS, but it wasn't publicly available. I think so. There's a little discrepancy there. Like for example, S3 was in preview while SQS wasn't, or something like that. But yeah, it is correct that SQS was the first service. You can now do provision mode for event source mapping, basically provisioning event polling in Lambda. So specifically for the subscribe to Apache Kafka events, just kind of for optimization and speed. So yeah, that just making sure that you get basically you get lower latency. For now, it only supports Apache Kafka event source mappings. It would be great for this thing to like exist for SQS, but currently it's only for Kafka. But here's to it going for other ESM stuff. And let's see the example. I haven't seen this demo. So okay, so we add a trigger here specifically for Kafka, and let's see, a bunch of settings, and there's the configure provision mode option. So yeah, it's basically setting up how many pollers and what's the minimum and what's the maximum to pollers. It's just making sure that we have provision stuff, and this is again for latency sensitive applications. Yeah, cool, important, and very neat. Couple of stuff. We support Python 3.13, Node.js 22, a bunch of stuff. Lambda supports FIS actions, fault injection simulator. Yeah, a bunch of additional features and stuff. And I think this is the last segment: developer tools and management and governance. So let's go through this. Neat feature. Somebody asked me why is this important. I think it's just a kind of a great way for people deploying CloudFormation to know how long it took something to deploy, because sometimes things take longer than you think. So you get a little timeline to see how long, for example, bucket creation took, or like an EC2 instance took. So it's just a feature that exists in your AWS CloudFormation console. Whether you're deploying stuff using CDK or CloudFormation, you're going to be seeing this inside of the timeline of CloudFormation. Neat feature, nothing crazy, but cool. App Studio is now generally available. App Studio is kind of like a way for you to build low code, no code applications with using a business application using generative AI. So really cool thing. It's now in GA. It was in public preview until recently, but it is GA right now. So definitely, if you're looking to build some stuff like that, or have folks build low code, no code applications, App Studio is the place to go. Amplify, back to Amplify. Amplify has AI Kit. Amplify has a lot of great features. Like if you have not tested Amplify in the past, you're missing out. But one of the latest things that they've added is something called an Amplify AI Kit. It's an easy way to integrate Amazon Bedrock in a full stack application. So basically, you can literally just add in a little like resource. Basically, set up a chat, like a chat integration within a front end application, right? That's it, right? Literally, just you do all kinds of like permissions configurations, and you are setting up an integration, a direct integration with Amazon Bedrock inside of your full stack application. In this case, like a front end React. I would assume this is React, yeah, or something to that sense. And basically, it creates this. This creates this. I think it's going to add like a little conversation, and that's it. Like it just embeds all of those things within your front end application, which is kind of really cool, because in the past you had to do a lot of these things yourself, which again is great, but now this is all kind of like just part of the whole Amplify experience, and it's easy to build these things right now. So huge fan. And let's see the example of this one. Look at that, boom. That's it. That's like everything is here for you to be able to build stuff. I love it. Okay, moving on. Application signals for AWS Lambda. So this was, I think, launched last year. I think, but well, of course last year, but I think last reinvent. It's basically application signals. This is an expansion to the application CloudWatch application signals, but now it's available for AWS Lambda. Basically, application signals automatically correlates telemetry across metrics, traces, and logs for all of your observability needs. So now available with Amazon Lambda. Okay, Q Developer. There's been a lot of features to Q Developer, and look at that, first time mentioning Q Developer. But Q Developer Pro here received there's basically an administrator page now where you can track user usage, which is really cool for folks deploying Q Developer within an environment, within a enterprise-ish environment. You can now do proper CloudFront troubleshooting with Q Developer, and cloud transformation. Amazon Q Developer code transformation. There's a CLI tool called QCT now that you can basically use to transform code. So it's really, really, really cool. You can do step-by-step transformation of Oracle SQL to PostgreSQL. Inside, for example, Java applications. CloudWatch Database Insights. Just another little quality of life improvement to help you observe Aurora databases. Just look at this wonderful dashboard. Yes, love it. Instead of basically spending a lot of time building up telemetry, this is kind of built up for you. Only supports Aurora, MySQL, and Postgres right now, but I would assume we can expect a lot more coming in the future. Okay, what is this? Yes, Q Developer. Okay, I think I'm going to show this to you. There's a lot of features added to Q Developer. It's reInvent the /doc feature, the /review feature, and the /test feature. Let me show you one of these. So I have a thing here. Let's see. Can I open up this thing? I'm trying to find a little. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is a CDK application that I have that has it's a generative AI powered application that does something. And one of the things I can do here with Amazon Q is, as you can see here, there's no README file, right? So what I can do here is open up Amazon Q and tell it /doc. And it's going to say create a README file and create a README file for this. Yep, cool. So what it's going to do right now, it's actually going to go ahead and scan all the source files within this code repository. And it's going to summarize it, and it's going to generate a README file for my project. Now, this is a really cool way for you to kind of just get that thing out of the way, because writing README files, especially for like projects you've been working on a lot and haven't been paying attention to README files, is not something fun I like to do. So I like to write code. I don't like to write README files. So what this thing does, it actually goes ahead and generates, scans the source code and summarizes, and it generates the documentation. So in a couple of seconds here, it's going to actually provide me with a wonderful README file, hopefully a wonderful README file, that kind of encompasses my whole application, which is really, really cool. Because sometimes, look, one of the times I've seen it actually generate me troubleshooting details, like, oh, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? Which I kind of didn't even think about, like, oh yeah, sure, I guess that would work. So yeah, let's give it a second. It takes a bit. And what's fascinating about doing demos in front of people with generative AI, I have no idea what the output is going to be. So okay, look at it. Real-time football commentary generator. This project creates a serverless application that there's a repo structure. Great. It actually nicely chooses all the files that I need to show. Key files, prerequisites, installation, CDK bootstrap, CDK deployed, knew all of these things, configuration, testing, troubleshooting. Look at that. Troubleshooting. Yeah. API gateway, 502s, all of these things. I love it. It even generated a well, this is just a text thing, but like it gave me like a little ASCII art type of data flow thing, which is really cool. So yeah, if you want to generate like documentation, you can do this, accept, you can reject, you can even modify existing README files with this. Really cool. So a bunch of cool features. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but yeah. Okay, moving on. You can transform now .NET applications from Windows to Linux. I love it. So you can do a bunch of these additional things in preview with Amazon Q Developer code transformation, which is incredible. Love me running them .NET code on Linux. So You can have Amazon Q Developer in Amazon SageMaker Canvas right now. Really cool. And another couple of things. Okay, I need to wrap up. I have 4 minutes left. Security and compliance. Resource control policies, RCPs. You can basically now control resource control policies. What is it? In this year, there's a bunch of new updates to RCPs, but at launch, there was when we launched RCPs, there was certain limitations right now, so we've added another couple of cool things. You can centrally restrict external access to your AWS resources at scale, right? Really, really cool. Amazon Cognito new features. This is a really cool thing. If you've not tried Cognito out in the past, I understand why not, because it was kind of tedious to set up, but it's incredibly easy right now. There's literally I want to say a one-click solution, but a click of a button, it creates a user pool and gets you all the code you need to set up that user pool in your web applications. Wonderful. Yeah, really, really cool. The new user experience is just fantastic. Yeah, there's a demo. I don't have time to show you the demo because I have to move on, but it's going to be, I'm going to show you this later on. There's an additional extended threat detection for GuardDuty. Additional GuardDuty is one of those services that help you detect potential issues, security issues with your applications. Really cool. We've added some advanced AI/machine learning threat detection for for GuardDuty. Definitely cool checking out. Security incident response, of course, SRPs are SIRs are really important. It's a new service that helps you basically manage security incident response quickly and effectively. And a bunch of other selected security stuff. We've joined the Linux OCSF joined the Linux Foundation. Really cool. Business applications, supply chain. I don't know how many people work with supply chain, but that's one of the services we have, I guess. And also new capabilities in Amazon Connect. You can connect actually to WhatsApp, which is kind of interesting. Now, what I promised. There. Go ahead there, claim your community alias. And if you go to Amazon, if you sign up with Amazon Builder ID, you will find a lot of resources when it comes to specifically this recap deck on community.aws. So go ahead and claim your AWS, claim your alias on community claim your Builder ID, yes, and get access to a lot of resources, including this one. On community.aws. So I'm going to ask all of you to go ahead and scan that QR code. Let me see if I can. Is there a way I can? I don't know if I can click on this link and come here like that. Boom, paste it in the chat so you all can more easily click on it. Wabam, wabam. Go ahead and I had my Builder ID for a while, but definitely sign up with Builder ID, and you're gonna get access to well, this content and more. What else? Yes. If you want to connect with more stuff, stay connected with us. We're community.aws, Skill Builder, our social channels, AWS Developers YouTube channel. We have a collective on Stack Overflow, and a whole lot of different things. And lastly, my friends, it's a minute to the end. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's been fun. It's been a ride. I would say.
Yeah,
Actually,
we're gonna need
I'm
to do like a gallon of water, right?
Oh
That
my
was
God.
impressive.
I know. I definitely need to go get some drinks. I have a meeting now happening in a couple of minutes, so but it was fun.
Well, thank
Um,
you. This was amazing, Darko. If you're not following and connected to
yeah,
Darko, LinkedIn, Twitch, all the places, he does some great content, and we appreciate you, sir. Thank you so, so much.
I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. Feel free to connect with me. Happy to chat. Happy to discuss. So I appreciate you being part of this. I know it's a 2-hour long thing, so I thank you for your devoted time. And we will share more details. I will, if you haven't received the link to the content through Kathy, we'll figure something out. But if anything, reach out to me as well.